Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Donette. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and also give me your thoughts on any of the subject matters that I share here. I always respond to my viewers or people who have any thoughts on any subject matter that I share. And you know, I like discussion, so don't worry about if you agree with me or disagree with me. I may come back and I may, you know, defend my thoughts, but that's not saying that I don't want to hear somebody else's side. I've been a professor for 20-something years, so trust me, I've heard many sides, and the whole ideal of education is to be able to, you know, allow people to be informed and to give their thought processes on matters that are important to them, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's you know, economics. It doesn't matter what it is, and you know, social issues and so on. It doesn't matter. I have heard it all, and I can debate well, but I'm not arrogant at the same time. I also listen. And that's part of what the teaching world is. So I am accustomed to talking. So if I come back and say something, it doesn't mean that I don't want to listen. It just means that's the teacher in me, that I want to have a discussion on this issue. So just make sure that you understand that when you come to my channel, even if you're in disagreement, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to give your views, all right? I love hearing different point of views. And I don't like people who agree with everything that someone else says, to be honest with you. Now, if I am wrong, tell me I'm wrong. If I say something offensive, then tell me that. But, you know, if I feel like as though I can defend my thought processes through research, I definitely come and, you know, I share my thoughts on it all over again. Because I'm all about research, right? So I'm not about, okay, just I think something and I just want to say it. All right, and you will know when it's my thoughts versus research, always, because I'll tell you this is how I feel. And then if it's research, I'll say research shows, or I don't know what research shows about it. And so you'll always be definitive in terms of, okay, is she saying something because she knows it for sure, or is she saying something because that's just her thoughts? So you'll always know. Okay, so with that said, I'm here today to share some information with you, and that is there's another building that we're about to build, and I wanted to be transparent with that building as well. However, the last time where I slacked off at and where I can't seem to catch up is the amount of money that is being spent, because there are so many things that you had to do that I lost count, and it's very difficult for me to go back now and try to pull all those receipts and everything. Like, I don't have that time to do it yet, and eventually I'll just maybe hire an accountant and give them all that stuff and let them do that, because I can't, right? I don't have the time in my schedule right now to do it. So I have, you know, in the past when I first started the channel, I would have given you details on the amount of money that I had to send to my builder, money that I had to spend on the builder of the fence, on the builder of the building of itself, on maybe on the bathroom, and I would give you here and there. But a lot of things that I needed to get over time weren't calculated in that money, and so a lot more was spent that you didn't know about. But of course, you know, I mean, I think it's just basic knowledge that, you know, I've spent more than I told you, but I just didn't get the chance to update you the way I wanted to. But this time around, I wanted to show you how you can build in Guyana on your paycheck, like literally, all right? So this is a new building that I'm building, that we're building up. And I oftentimes say I, but trust me, it's me and my husband, all right? Because no longer am I doing this alone, hiding it from him, trying to surprise him with a project. Everything from once the first building was built, he's been involved with it, all right? So that was just, okay, so let me give you the backdrop of that. So basically what I did is we had bought the land, mostly, well, actually, he paid down on the land while he was here, and then I paid off for the land. He didn't know that I paid off for it. I think I did tell him that I paid off for it, but he didn't know when I started the project. I didn't want to tell him I started the project of building the bistro, because I kind of knew that we had been burnt before. with doing business here, and I got in more into humanitarian work because of that. I didn't want to do business anymore. I got tired of people doing nonsense with your products and then saying, you know, something else or telling you some story. So I just stopped, and I started doing more humanitarian work, and that worked out wonderful because I had the right people in charge, which was either teachers in the school system or for my program, which was by my granny. I had one of my neighbors her and I have been friends, and she has a heart for children. She was a Sunday school, I think she works with Sunday school kids as well. So I knew she would be good, and I saw how she raised her daughters. So I really liked her for running the show there. So she did a wonderful job, not only in terms of, I would say, management day to day with the children and in terms of the classroom there, but we also had educators from the city who would come in, or you know, licensed teachers, because she's not a licensed teacher. So we had licensed math teacher, licensed social science teachers, licensed music teachers, or, you know, just real life teachers. Well, he wasn't like a licensed music, but he was an agriculture teacher, and he taught music at my place. So he would also do gardening and so on with the kids. Eventually he had to leave, and eventually I moved the program into the school setting, which is one of the schools that I went to, primary schools that I went to here in Guyana. I moved it into that setting. I also have a program in Berbice, and I have a program in Georgetown. So all those programs still exist, and they're all in the public school system. I got to do better with checking in on them. Last time I checked in about over a year ago, so I need to go check in. I also need to do some contributions to them, but they all are well equipped to run for the next, I would think, 20 years, because the books, we had enough books, hundreds of books, thousands of books. We had furnitures that don't go bad. We had everything we needed there, right? So honestly, I don't think they're in trouble. I think it's just a matter of them taking care of the things that were placed in their care. But it is still my programs. I can check on them at any time. I can donate at any time. And their impact and changes within those school systems. So let me step back. So out of the fact that we didn't do well in business here, I didn't want to tell my husband about this project. So I eventually said, I'm gonna just do this on my own. So what I did is I set out to use my paychecks, right? I also use, I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever mentioned this. I used my stimulus checks. Remember, Trump had given away like two checks or something like that, $1,200 or whatever. So that helped out too. You know, I don't like the guy, but I mean, that $2,400 or whatever it was impactful in helping me to probably get some blocks or pay someone of the contractor or whatever it was. You know, hey, I'm not gonna lie, that helped out. So I used my money to do that, my stimulus check, to put into my program. And you know, people will say, well, where did you get all this money from? Or, you know, you must be rich, or whatever it is. And, you know, listen, no, it's really literally making a decision about what it is that you want to do with your life. I knew immediately after research that, you know, being a professor, bringing in a decent income wasn't the way to go in America. Like, you literally need a business of your own. And I got tired of answering to other people's calls. I got tired of just sitting back waiting for retirement. I got tired of paying bills. I got tired of everything that, that kind of just manipulated my mood when, every 2 weeks that came of the month, when you think you have money, then you're like, oh, well, I got to do this, or I got to do that, or this expense came up, or that expense came up. And that really just triggered my mood, not in a good way at times. And even though I'm usually a very happy camper, as I got older, I started to see the impact of it on, when pay dates came around, how I felt, given that, okay, all that money just went into my account, but all of it is almost vanished, just like that, because of expenses, unexpected expenses, regular everyday expenses, and so on. So let me keep going. So with that said, I decided to take on a new project, something that I can call my own, something that I can answer to, and I feel good about answering to. Who is it? Shirley Chisholm, that says, you know, if they don't give you a chair at the table, build your own damn chair, right? It's that simple. Just build your own, because sometimes people just don't open up the doors, and even when you have worked hard, they just simply don't open the doors. So even though, you know, sometimes you want to go up for more leadership roles and so on, and you know you've got the qualifications, and every time you do an interview, every time you go through that entire chair and you do this and you do that, and the next thing you know, you're just like back to square one, and you can't make that big leap that you want to, the way you think that you should. And so now you begin to think differently about, you know, your role in education and your role in terms of your own life. Yes, continuing to make an impact in other people's lives, but at the same time, you got to think about yours as well. So all that stuff, of course, generated something in me, and I've been preparing way too long, from the university years to you know, conferences and seminars. And listen, I have exposed myself to every single thing, educationally, socially, spiritual leadership, all that stuff. So I did it all. I am well equipped, and so I know what I'm made of. So when I go in for a leadership role and I don't make it, I'm like, oh damn, maybe God has something else for me. Maybe God has to have another plan, because there's no way I shouldn't have gotten that position. There's no way, because I did everything. I mean, I walk out of there and see every single chair from every department, smiles on their faces, and they're just, you can see them writing things and just elated that they see or saw what they saw, heard what they heard. And here I am. I'm still, you know, struggling to go into that leadership role that I wanted. Okay, so I decided, like Shirley said, well, they are not giving me a seat at the table. I'm gonna build my own. So that's what I went out to do. And I started this project with that intention. Started it because, you know, not only because of the fact that I needed to create my own. And I heard my husband told me years ago, he said, I don't know who it was that said, Master P or somebody, or it could have been Jay-Z, you know, in order to control your destiny in terms of money, you've got to have a product on the market. You have to have some sort of product. Could have been 50 Cent. I don't know who he was listening to. But you've got to have a product. You got to have your own business, or else you're always going to be somebody working for somebody else. And then I started to think even more so as to this land and what it is that I could do with it. So I'm getting here to, you know, I wanted to rehash everything. So now I'm watching, you know, it's in the middle of the pandemic. I've redesigned my entire unit in Florida. I bought every single thing to make myself comfortable. New chairs, send the older ones to Guyana, which are still in great condition. Pull down, you know, of course we had moved away from Georgia, left our house there and rented it out and everything. So we're now in Florida back again. And, you know, thinking about buying, but then not sure if we're going to do that. And then just renting for the time. And, you know, but I redid this entire unit, painted, did all this stuff. I mean, I made it a sweet unit. It wasn't we no longer lived at a big place, because we moved into a smaller place, because as the kids went off to college and the Marines and so on, we didn't need that big space anymore. So we lived in pretty big spaces, but we needed someplace small. So the place that I'm telling you that I redesigned was my smaller unit. So I got to that smaller unit, redesigning that smaller unit, and you know, it was just so beautiful. Loved it. And then one day I'm sitting down enjoying, of course I'm lecturing from home because it's during the pandemic, and we had already bought the land. That was a year before the pandemic. We came here in 2019 and bought the land. Didn't know what we was going to do with it. At first I had this concept that I would definitely want to do a bed and breakfast kind of thing. And then I said, no, that's too much money, because I don't want to borrow. I have enough school loans. I'm not going to do that. I can't be bothered. I'm just tired of hoeing somebody. All right, tired of paying bills. I'm already tired of that. Why go borrow loans again? What can I do? A project that is affordable that I can do and have a business, like I can do as a business. And I'm sitting back one day and light bulb. I'm looking at Tyrese's story, and he's got this little Starbucks in his backyard. And what there it is. Why can't I do something? And this brought me back to a thought where I had my students design a bed and breakfast in Guyana, and part of it was to have a eatery, a place that you can eat, and they designed a menu and everything like that using all the Guyanese dishes. And then I said, you know what, I can just do a small place. Why can't I just do something small and not worry about it? Okay, so now what happened is that it drove me into, and I started measuring my unit that I'm in. Now remember, I don't have a very big unit in Florida. So I started, because the kids are now off to school, it's just me and my husband, and we don't need a big place. 2,200 square footage place was way too big. And that's what we had prior. So we came down to a very, very small place, and close to the beach, like literally close to the beach, and I loved it. The other place, 2,200, was also close to the beach. But I like this little space because we didn't have as much expense, and it was perfect, and the kids were off. We were empty nesters, and we loved, just enjoying our lives and traveling and doing whatever we wanted to do and not having as much bills. So now I'm like, why can't I just do a small thing? So then it brought me back to that thought on the fact that my students had done this whole thing. So I went back and I went looking for that assignment that they did. So they created a business project. And I was like, oh shoot, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a bistro. They didn't design a bistro, but I said a bistro because I thought of a bistro as being smaller, more intimate, more beautiful, more relaxing. It's a lounge. I can do something like this, and I can do it out of pocket. So that's what I came here to tell you today. You can do it out of pocket. So the next building that I'm building, I only have about 4 more minutes left here before my time cut. So I'm going to tell you what's happening. It's a 20 by 40. It's one of the biggest buildings that is going to be on this property. This building is a 27 by 27. The other one is a 18 by by 12 or something like that. Don't quote me on these numbers. 18 by 15 or something. The other one is the pergola in the back is about 10 by 12. And then the kitchen is about 19 by 8 or something like that. So, or no, not 19, probably 15 by 8. Okay. Now, this final building is going to be a big one, and it's going to hold about 60 to 65 people, possibly more. I need places to shelter because the rain is just way too much in Guyana. With that said, we've got a budget of $4,000 that we have to pay the guy. This is to build the property, right? Now, how are we going to do that? We've already made a decision. We have to divide this into 3. So we're going to give him 25% up front, which is about, and I forgot what it is, $600 and something, I believe it is. Then another 50%. Then we're going to give him the final 25%, so in 3 phases. That also allows us to look at our, paychecks to see when this money should be given. Now, we wanted to start the project right away, right now, and we decided no. I told my husband, no, let's start it in July, because these are the dates of paychecks and so on. So July is perfect timing to make sure that he gets his down payment. He gets his second payment, which is the 50%, and then by August, when he finishes the project, which is August 4th, he gets his final 25%. And so that, again, you have to work with your paychecks. So it is what you decide to do with your money. So this isn't about taking your money and going off to Dubai or going off to Jamaica or going someplace else and go hang out and then come back and say, oh, well, I don't have $4,000. Well, you just spent $4,000 just to travel. So you can take that money and do something with it. Okay, so now that's just him. So the next step that I have to do is I got all the estimate. I got the estimate yesterday, everything that I need to buy from the lumber yard. So what I'm going to do is today I'm going to send the lumber yard lady the estimate by text, and I'm asking her to take a look at it and to see how much it's going to cost us. So from there, we're going to have to buy all the lumber between prior to him building, of course. So we have June, all of June to buy the lumber, all the way up to July 7th. Right, so though in between those paychecks, you still have to pay bills, because remember, my husband is still overseas. So you have to, number your paychecks, see what makes sense, and then make sure that you are spending the money the way that you should. So if it takes about $3,000 to buy all the lumber that I need, then we have to divide that money into the next 5 weeks, so that way that money comes out of paychecks. You cannot depend on any other thing other than the fact that you have money from your paychecks that will go into this building. There, I can use little money from the shop, but remember, when I because I'm still open on a smaller scale, I'm not making this huge amount of money, and those monies that I make, I have to go back into the bar to rebuy things. And so, of course, personal things for myself at times. And then the other thing that I have to look at is the fact that I need to do other things that are important here, and smaller projects. So I spend money on smaller projects. So my husband spends money on bigger projects these days, because the smaller projects are things that I can handle from the bar. I have taken off some time from work, so my paychecks are no longer coming in. So I have to wait until I go back to lecture in order to have those paycheck rolling in. I took some time because I needed to spend time building my business, right? And so I'll be back probably next semester, but in the meantime, working with what I have. And what I have now is just what it is, right? Which is money from the bar. So that's the income I'm dependent on to do smaller projects. And then, my husband have to cover the big projects for now. All right. But I have covered a whole lot, out of my paycheck alone. And then he has covered a whole lot from his paychecks. So we both have come together and made this happen. So listen, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And give a comment. All right. I'll see you on the next one. You take care.